Hey y'all, it's Michael. So for this video, I'm gonna be doing a short story collection book review of Florida by Lauren Groff. This is one of the collections that I've been seeing around for like best of short story collection lists for quite a while. I've been seeing it scattered. So yeah, I thought I would give this a shot. What I'll do is after each and every single short story, I'll let y'all know what I think about it, and at the end, I'll do a collective overall thought. So yeah, let's go. Alright, so I finished the first stories on here called Ghost and Empties. This was good. This is about a woman who basically goes around and like runs around her neighborhood at night and whatnot. Like she does running. This was really good. Usually I don't find a lot of things funny, but it has that dark humor that I really like, and I think the way that it delivers the punchlines on well on some of the commentary that it says is like spot on. It also has this like tenderness and this loneliness to it that I thought worked really well with the humor. Finish the next short story. It's called At the Round Earth's Imagined Corners. This was I was half and half about. This is about Jude, who we're basically getting his whole life. Long story short, and it takes place in Florida. Well, majority of it. This is a really interesting story because the first half I was like really into it. I pulled you in right away and it was very engaging. The concepts that I was bringing up, I was like, oh, this is really good. I think it falters at the halfway point, and then it seemed very generic at that point for me. I was just like, okay. Out of these two short stories that I have read, the language is really nice, except for the last part half that I just mentioned. But I just really like the writing style. It has this very, I don't know how to describe it, but I'm liking it. Hopefully I'll find the words on how I feel about it as I read more stories. So I finished the next short story. It's called Dogs Go Woof. First off, I noticed that the titles are very intriguing or strange, and they have a weird like, I don't know if they connect to the story per se, but it's different. So this story, anyways, is about two sisters who basically get left alone in an island, and they have to fend for themselves. This one was actually pretty good. The one thing that I'm noticing is sentence structures, if that makes any sense. It's written very like short staccato, like very tactful. And for me, sometimes that doesn't gel right with me because a lot of the times those type of sentences have very similar like the word choice goes, and that's because it's mainly always like subject and then an action verb, like subject and an action verb, subject and an action verb, and it for me it always hinders the rhythm that I'm going along, and it's doing that for me. I kind of wish the sentences were a little bit more sprawled out because there are moments in here where the sentence is like little glimpse where it's very long and it adds something really well to the story. It feels repetitive because the sentence structure feels so similar, if that makes any sense. But yeah, this one I thought was really good. I like the build up and then there's the conclusion. I think I'm noticing within Groff's stories is that there's this very sense of, I don't want to say weirdness so far, but there's a sense of wonderment. All right, I finished the next story. It's called The Midnight Zone. Um, I don't really know how I felt about this one. Because I liked it, but then it's really strange. It's about a family basically, and they just get left behind while they're camping. Yeah. This is told very strangely. It's like I like it, but I don't know something about it. But it's told in this way where it's very like because the main character basically bumps her head, and the way that she views the world starts changing. It is pretty cool, and the description, the writing is actually really strong. I just don't know how to feel about it, so I'm on the fence about this one. But the writing style is very different. Like it's the way the descriptions are descriptively deceiving, if that makes any sense. I did really enjoy that part. All right, I finished the next story. It's called Eyewall. This was good. This was really good. This is about a woman, it's an unnamed narrator, and basically she gets stuck in a hurricane in her house. What a great story. The build-up is great. The humor is really fantastic. The title is really interesting too because, Eyewall, which, the eye, because, of the storm. But just what it talks about, especially like the different men in her life, I thought was just fantastic. It was very humorous and it has this like lightheartedness about it, but it also delves in about these topics that she went through her life with all these different men. I read the next story. It's called "For the God of Love, for the Love of God." Um, I don't really care about this one that much. Really, it's about these two friends, essentially, Genevieve and Amanda, and they're basically like at a vacation with their husband and then their kid. Well, one of the kids. Um, it really, for me, I think what this is was I like the setup, if anything. But for me, I don't know. I just after a while, just like what. Read the next story on here. It's called Salvador. This one I did like. This is about a woman named Helena, and long story short, she is vacationing in Salvador, and this natural disaster starts to happen. This I think is very simple. I think it's a little bit too simple. The one thing that I did enjoy about it was the pacing of it. I thought it built up really well. I felt as though it was also okay. I finished the next short story. It's called Flower Hunters. Uh, this was really good. I really enjoyed this. This is probably my favorite of the stories so far. But this is basically about a narrator, and it's Halloween, and that's all I could say without giving too much away. What I really enjoyed about this was the writing, the style, because the character herself is has this wit, has this very funny way of viewing the world, and it's very insightful. There was a part in here where there were a part in here because she made Halloween costumes for her sons. One of her sons' costume is a ghost, and she talks about getting sheets. Oh yeah, men with boys with sheets in the South. I was like, bruh, that's wow. Finished the next story. It's called Above and Below. This one, it wasn't that bad actually. This is about an unnamed narrator, and we're just following through her life essentially. She has an estranged relationship with her family. Feels very similar to the previous short stories because it has this like very particular mood that all the other stories seem to share. Because it has this like mystery to it. It has this very ominous staccato, kind of blank exterior. Like it's almost like it's hard to explain. It's almost like a distance from the characters. But the writing style is really intriguing, and I think that's what keeps pushing me through all these stories. Even the last line on here, I was like, oh, that is a really nice like final line. I really liked it. All right, I finished the penultimate story. It's called Snake Stories. This was really short. It was like only like 10 pages, but this was really good. This I could see like in a quick magazine or something, and I think it'd still be impactful. I thought this was great. It's about an unnamed narrator, and the way that it involves about snakes and like Adam and Eve, about deceitfulness, about sin. It was really good. For a really short story, I thought it was like, oh, this is really good. Right, y'all. So I finished the last story on here. It's called Yport or Yport. This one I was like, about. I was like, okay, sure, fine. It was pretty long. This is about an unnamed narrator. She just goes by the mother. And long story short, she basically takes her two sons, and they go to France to this town, Yport. She goes there because she is studying Guy de Maupassant, and who is a French author. I'm just gonna do a wrap up of this, and overall, I think I'm meh about this whole collection, especially, and I think with this story in particular really encapsulates it for me. Again, let me say this first. Her writing style is really great, actually. The way that Groff portrays Florida is very interesting. It just doesn't seem like a nice place, according to Groff's characters, which is very funny because if you ever like watch like Atlanta, there's a joke about Florida man, which is really funny. The style, like the syntax, the way that she chooses her words. I say I like it, but also there are parts in here where I just don't like. Me personally, this is like personal preference for me. Because if you watch some of my reviews for a long time, I really don't like it when there's so much pronoun usage that writers use. That is just like a stickler for me, because it's like, especially when that pronoun usage is in like the sentence structure is very, very similar, where it's like she is like the main subject and there's always like an action verb. It's just, I don't know. To me, it just gets really repetitive, and if it always breaks this flow, this way that Groff writes, where well, all these characters are women essentially, and it has this like mystery that Florida essentially entails, and this vibe. Ooh, these vibes that she's giving to these stories, because it is pretty. Some of these stories are pretty dark, but there's this mystery to them. There's this unknowing thing. I really do like that. I think it's just touch and go, because like some of these stories I really did like, and there are symbolisms all over the place. Like the way that she connects things to the normal mundane meaning, like in snake stories, there's a whole bunch of metaphors about snakes, which I really do like. And you know what? Now looking back at it, the way that the titles, like, because you know, as you saw in the previous clips, I was really questioning the titles on this, and now I think I see how they really go within like the meanings of the stories. So really, that like even Eyewall, I thought it was great, because the way the use of the hurricane, well, I thought it was great. So yeah, I think it's touch and go. I would read another collection of hers. I would just go into this knowing that for me personally, there are some stories I wouldn't like that much, and I'm not gonna lie, some of them were a little bit. I was just like, okay, this is a little bit long-winded. I was just like, okay. For me, this would be like more of a 2.5, like somewhere in the middle. Literally in the middle of the rating scale. So yeah, if you read this short story collection, I would love to hear your thoughts. I will let me know in the comments below. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye. And no, I don't have another short story collection to show you, just in case I don't get around to it this time. So